Afternoon. How is everyone? Anyone there? I'm expecting lots of people on today because they all said that they can make 2 o'clock. We should get loads of people on today. Afternoon, dawn. I've got to get used to saying afternoon now as well, rather than morning. How are you, Dawn? Are you right? Afternoon, Donna. Hello, Bev. Bev's here. If you pop on, say hello, so I know that you're there. So I know you're watching. Doing some more alcohol inks today. How is everyone today? Are you all well? And Ian's watching as well. Oh, it's very quiet, isn't it? Because I haven't got any music on. I usually have music playing in the background. Ooh. If you could share this with all your friends, share it on your timeline, share it in any groups, that would be fabulous. Get some more people on. Watch me make a mess. No, it'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be fine. I've pinned a link at the bottom of the live to the website. So a lot of the products we've got on today's live are on the website as well. And if there's anything out of stock, because I know quite a few of the alcohol inks are out of stock at the moment, if there's any particular ones that you're after, just let us know. We'll be doing another order very soon. So this is one of my little creations that I did. I think it was last weekend. I think it was. I did this. I was inspired by one of Ian's jigsaws. He was doing one of his jigsaws on his tablet, and I thought, oh, that's given me an idea. Everything I look at, I get inspired about alcohol inks nowadays. There was something else. Oh yeah, birthday card I think it was, or something I saw the other day, and it was like, oh, I could do that with alcohol inks. Afternoon, Judith. How are you? You're in Scotland, aren't you? What's the weather like up there? It's probably better than down here. You've had some nice weather up in Scotland, I think. Thank you, Donna. Thank you for the loves. Somebody loves me. Anyone else come on that wants to say hello? I need some music in the background. It's way too quiet. Ah yes, I thought it was Scotland, Judith. Warm but cloudy. Yeah, it's a bit like that here as well. It's quite humid at the moment, but rather overcast. At least it's not raining at the moment. It's not done nothing but rain lately. But apparently it's going to get nicer from tomorrow onwards. Summer's coming. Don't forget, if you can share this for me, please. Share it on your timelines. Share it in any groups that any crafty groups that you're members of. Share, 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 share. And no, that's not share as in the musical share. Right, okay, so I might as well get cracking, start having a play. I do like having a play with my alcohol inks. So this is, as I say, this was inspired by one of the jigsaws that Ian was doing the other day. I thought, oh, that'd be nice to actually do a bit of blossom and sort of, you know, make the tree look a bit more interesting. So so that's what I've done, and I've done a bit of sky and a bit of grass as well. So it's a bit of a sort of a landscapey thing going on there. So I'm going to do the same sort of thing today, just to show you how I did it. Ooh, steak pies and lawn sausage. Ooh, well, I'm vegetarian, so that wouldn't be any good for me. But there we are. But local is better, definitely. At least they've had a good life. So, as usual, I'm going to be using my Yupo, because for all these techniques that I've done in all the lives lately, you do need to use Yupo. It is on the website. We've got loads of it in stock. But Yupo is it's like a synthetic plastic, non-porous material. And it acts completely different to glossy card or photo paper or anything like that. So so if you've tried using alcohol inks without Yupo and you're not getting the same sort of results, that's why. So yeah, so that's what I'm going to be using. And all I've done, I'm loving my Sentimentally Yours nesting dies. This is the double deboss rounded corner rectangles, which I have used so much lately, it's crazy. We've just had them back in again, so we've got the rounded corner rectangles and we've also got the rounded corner squares. Quite a few people pre-ordered them, so they've all gone out. But there are still a couple of packs left in the shop if anyone is interested. So they're on the website. So I've just used... Because the other thing as well is Yupo die cuts beautifully as well. I've die cut flowers out of it, and I've also die cut this one with the rounded corners rectangles, and then this one has also been die cut with the rounded corner rectangles. And because it's got the double debossing, it still debosses as well. So I don't know if you can see the debossing in it, but you might be able to see it a bit later when I start having a bit of a play. So it's got a nice bit of debossing around the edge, so the Yupo does deboss as well, so that's fab. So I'm going to sort of leave it, I want to leave it on the, so that you can still see it a little bit, because it's nice to see it, but I don't want to mess it up and see anything. Right, so the first thing that I did was I did the grass and the sky. So the grass I used citrus, and then I think I also used oregano. So those are the two alcohol inks that I used for the grass. And then for the sky I used aqua and sailboat blue. So I know those two are out of stock at the moment. I'm not sure about the others, but we will be having them back in again very soon. So as I've said before as well, when you work with your alcohol inks, you can take the lids off, even though they're alcohol based. You can take the lids off and leave the lids behind the bottle, but I would advise making sure that you leave the lid. So what I've done here is I've got the bottle and then I've got my lid behind it. So I've got a row of lids and bottles because you don't want to mix the lids up because there might be remnants of some of the alcohol fluid in the lid, and then if you put that on the wrong bottle then it might contaminate it a bit. So that's something to be wary about. And then I'm also going to use one of the Archival Ink blending tools. So that's the blending tool, and it does come with some of the replacement felts, and I have completely lost what I was going to say now. Oh yeah, we also sell the felts on their own. I think there's a pack of 50 of the felts that you can buy separately, so once you run out of the felts, although they are reusable, but obviously you can only use them a certain amount of times, then you can get the replacement felts as well. So they're on the website if anyone's interested. Hello Vicky, how are you? Ooh, lovely range of vegetarian goodies, Judith. That's interesting. A butcher's doing vegetarian goodies. But you've got to cater for everyone these days. You've got to diversify. Right, so easy to do, as are all the Archival Ink techniques, and anyone that has bought the Archival Inks and has tried them recently, they'll know that it is such a straightforward and easy process to use, and you can get some really good results really easily. So all I'm going to do with this is I'm going to use my blending tool, and I'm just going to get some of the citrus Archival Ink and blob it onto my felt. And then I'm going to take some of the oregano as well, because it's a nice deeper colour, so it'll make a nice contrast, I think, and blob that on as well. And then I'm also going to put on a bit of alcohol blending solution. So the blending solution, you can do it without it, but the blending solution will help it to move a little bit better. So I'll just get my lid off of there, and then just put a couple of blobs of the blending solution on there as well. Don't need a lot. And then I'm going to do the bottom first of all, so where my grass is going to be, and then all I'm going to do is just go across. Obviously you want to go across rather than, well, I suppose you could go up and down and give like a sort of a wispy thing. So I'm just going to go, you can go as far as you want. You can do a bigger area down the bottom and then just sort of disperse it as you go up, just to make it a bit more interesting. There we are. Oh, how easy is that? I mean, come on. Simples. So that's my grass. You can go backwards and forwards. On this one, I think I actually sort of I swirled around a little bit more as well. So, you know, you can do whatever you want, but I quite like that sort of finish like that. And I might actually go in with just a little bit more of the oregano, and then just do that at near the bottom bit, just so that it looks a bit dark down there. I'm going to distress around the edges later anyway, so it's not going to really matter. But you know, so you can get a really effective finish just from that. Simple. And then I'm going to do my sky. So with sky, I'm going to use a clean pad as well, because otherwise I'll end up with green in my sky. And then I'm going to do exactly the same. I'm going to go in with my aqua. So blobs onto the pad like that. And then I'm going to go in with the sailboat blue, which is the darker colour. And then a couple of blobs of my blending solution as well, just to help it blend a little better. And then I'm going to do exactly the same thing with the sky. Might go round a little bit more just to make it a bit more skyish. There's some nice fluffy clouds. And if you tap on it, you'll get a different sort of finish as well. It's quite nice, isn't it? Ooh, and it's even got a little bit of purpley, sort of purpley pinky colour coming through there as well. It's interesting, isn't it? So yeah, so you can just blend that down a little bit. And you can build up the layers if you want. If you wanted to add extra dimension, you could build up the layers and a bit of depth by just drying that. You can either dry it with a quick blast of the heat tool, or because it's alcohol based, it's dry more or less straight away anyway. So I'm just going to go in with a bit more of the sailboat blue. Just try and get a little bit more darkness at the top. There we are. Doesn't that look lovely? What do you think? Simple pimple or what? So that's my grass and my sky. So this one this is slightly smaller. I've actually cut this one slightly smaller just so that it fits in. I've got a frame ready for that one. But it's exactly the same technique. And as I say, that's more or less dry straight away. Yeah, all dry, you know. So it dries within, I think they say about 5 to 10 seconds probably. It's all dry. So yeah, so very quick. So I'm just going to put my lids back on because I'm going to be doing a bit of stamping now. So before I do my blossom and everything, I'm going to put the lids on just to make sure that that nothing evaporates, and also just to make sure that if I do knock them over, they're not going to go all over the desk, because Ian wouldn't be very happy with me. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp my tree, and I keep going back to this stamp set. Thank you, Judith. It is simple, isn't it? So easy. Can't express enough how easy this is. Yeah, so I'm going back to my old faithful, as it were. This stamp set, which was in one of the Creative Stamping magazines recently. I think it was number 83. We've sold out of it. We sold out long ago. And a lot of places have probably sold out of it as well. I have done a Livonia stamps order actually, and I was hoping that I would have some of those stamps that I could have used, but they're obviously quite busy at the moment and they haven't been able to get them out to me yet. So I'm going to use the tree. Now there's, on this stamp set, there's two tree halves. So I'm going to use both tree halves and I'm going to join them together. So let's take those off first of all. One there and one there. It's quite handy having the two tree halves because it means that you can make up a full tree if you want, or if you want a tree on the left hand side, you can have a tree. Yeah, you could have a tree on the left hand side and then a tree on the right hand side. So you could have two half trees if you wanted, and then a nice sentiment in the middle. Ooh. You got me thinking now. That would be quite nice, wouldn't it? That would frame nicely. Shall I do that? What do you think? Come on, audience opinion now. Do I go 2 tree halves like that, or do I go like that and have the one tree joined in the middle there? What do you think? I quite like it like that actually, because then I can put a nice sentiment in the middle, and that would frame it quite nicely. The only thing is I wouldn't be able to put the stamp so much around the edges. 2 trees, Judith. So 2 halves like that, or joined together. The bottom one or the top one? What do you say, peeps? Yeah, because you. Oh, that is really nice, isn't it? I do like that. Should we go like that? Should we try that one? The 2 halves separate. Yep. Let's do that. Right. So just so you know, when I did the trees together, all I did was I stamped one of the trees first of all, and then I stamped the second one, and I made sure that when I stamped it, because obviously if I stamped these 2 together, you would end up with a bit of a space in the middle, just because of the nature of how stamps are made. You'd end up with a bit of a space in the middle of the trunk. So all I did was I just made sure that when I stamped the second one, I overlapped it a bit more in the middle, and then I just used a paintbrush to make sure that any lines that were in the middle there were blended. So that's how I did it with that one. Let me just grab my paintbrush. Incidentally, as well, someone else asked the other day whether you could use the blending solution, which Ian's taken the label off of. But we sell a blending solution in the shop, which is for working with the colour blend pencils, and also in parchment when you're blending the pencils, the oil-based pencils. They tend to use the blending solution. This blending solution is different to the alcohol blending solution. This one is like a white spirit, a spirit-based blending solution, whereas this is an alcohol-based blending solution. So, oh, what we got? Kay Griffiths. Hello, Kay. How are you? Hello, Susan. 2 trees, please. Yeah, I think that's definitely the right idea. Yeah, so I tried using the spirit-based blending solution with alcohol inks, and this was the result that I got, which was quite interesting. So this was the alcohol blending solution, that one there. So the normal way of using blending solution with the alcohol inks, and you get the standard nice blend. And this was using the spirit based blending solution, and as you can see, it does sort of blend a little bit. It did disperse a lot and did take a long time to dry. It was sort of going all over the place, so I had to use my heat tool just to fix it. And it did seem to sort of, I don't know what that is, it sort of just bubbled, not bubbled, but I don't even know how to describe that, but you can see the difference basically. So if that's the effect that you're looking for, then you can use the spirit-based blending solution. I personally don't like it. I much prefer this sort of smoother blended finish. But yeah, so someone asked us about that, so I had a go. So if you have got any questions, anything you want us to try, anything you're not sure about, then just let us know, and if we can answer it on the lives, then we will do, and if we can't, then we'll look into it and find out for you. So I'm going to stamp this. I'm going to do my 2 trees, and I'm going to use my trusty press to impress. And these are back in stock as well. We've got a couple in stock now. They either sit around for ages and no one buys them and then they all of a sudden go, or they fly out. So I'm going to do my tree on this side first of all. And I should really have a scrap of paper underneath there, just in cases. So I'll do that, just so that because I'm stamping off, I don't really want to get any of the ink on my foam, really. So the ink that I'm using, and the one that I always highly recommend for using with UPO, is the Ranger Archival Ink. This is the jet black. I've tried all sorts of other inks. I've tried VersaFine, and I've tried dye-based inks. I've tried pigment-based inks. I don't know if I think I've tried StazOn as well. StazOn didn't work very well either. So I've tried all sorts of different inks. This is the best. VersaFine does work. If you push too hard, you do tend to get a bit of a halo around your stamps, and it does take a hell of a long time to dry. So the way of getting around that, what I've done in the past before I had the Archival Ink, was I heat embossed with clear embossing powder, and then that will fix it, and then you don't have to worry. But the Archival Ink is definitely the best, and it dries relatively much quicker than any of the other ones, and you get a much better impression. And yeah, that's what I've used on this, was the Archival Ink. Because it's a non-porous, very weird sort of surface, it is quite a challenge for any ink to work with. So yes, I think you're right about that, Judith. I think it would look right on a certain project. Maybe you can make it into a flower or something, or if you're using it as a background maybe, or if you're going to be die cutting out of it, then you're only going to get certain elements of that out of it, rather than it just looking like a messy blob. So there's probably ways that you could do that. And then I need to make sure I get the right stamp. I think my mum's watching as well. Are you there, Mum? Is there anybody there? So I'm going to stamp this off the edge, because obviously I don't want it to be half a tree just floating in the middle of my project. So I'm going to make sure that it's off the edge there. And then the stamps always go face down, so the part that you're going to be inking always goes face down onto your project, so that when you actually pick it up with the lid, make sure that's okay, it's yeah, it's going to work properly. Oh, I can go quite a way in there, can't I, really? And the magnets just help to hold the material in place as well, just in case you need to restamp. So I'm just going to shift you over a little bit and then ink this up. I would advise using a stamping tool as well, if you can, when you're stamping with onto UPO, because UPO is a non-porous, plasticky sort of material. It can slip. Your stamps can slip a little bit when you stamp. So obviously you're not going to have to worry about that if you're using a stamping tool. And of course the other thing is that if you do miss anything and you need to restamp, then you can do. So I'm going to bring that over. But it's not the end of the world if you do miss any bits, and I'll show you, because there's probably going to be little elements on this that won't stamp perfectly because it's a sort of a silhouette stamp. Sometimes you do need to fill in the gaps a little bit, but that's dead easy to do. Yes, say hello if you're watching, and I'll give you a shout out. Be nice to know that you're there. Yeah, so that's not too bad, is it? So then what I would always do is straight away get my nice clean rag and just give the stamp a wipe, because this is a permanent ink, but as long as you're quick, you can just give it a wipe with your rag. I think I need a new clean rag really, don't I, because this one's stinking. And then all the ink comes off and that's ready to use again. So it makes it a lot easier. You don't end up staining the stamp and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do, I think, is I'm going to fill in those little gaps before I stamp the other side, because I want to make sure that that side is dry before I do the other side. Otherwise I'm going to end up in all sorts of mess. So if you've got any little gaps, any little areas, if I bring that up to the camera just to show you, you can see that there's stamp mainly okay, but there are a couple of little areas, mainly that one there, there's a little bit of a hole, and that's just the nature of Yupo basically. So then all I've got is a fine paintbrush, and I've actually put, where have I put it? I've actually put a bit of tape on it and actually put ink pad brush on there, just so I know that this one is for using with my ink pad rather than trying to use it with any other things like acrylic paints or anything like that, because obviously I don't want to use it with those. So what you do is you just ink it up, just put the brush on, and then you can just, any little areas that you want to fill in, you can just fill in with your paintbrush. So it's dead easy. Don't have to be too fussy, because I'm going to be alcohol inking over the top of that later anyway. But there we are. So it's so easy to do. And then again I just wipe it on my nice clean rag, just to make sure that the most of it's off. You're not going to get everything off, but there we are. So that's that. So I'm just going to take my magnets away, make sure I haven't got any ink all over my fingers, and then I'm just going to give this a quick blast with my heat tool. It's already drying anyway, but while it's still a little bit shiny, it's still wet. So just a very quick blast. Try not to hold it in place too much, obviously, because it's a plastic based product, the Yupo. It will melt a little bit and it will warp. So as long as you're careful and you just give it a quick waft over, that's the best thing. You can leave it to dry on its own as well if you wanted to, but obviously there's no point in me doing that. I think that'll do. Lovely jubbly. Pop that up there out the way. And then I can do the other side. And I know that if I put my hands in it by accident, I'm not going to end up messing up the image too much. Of course, that would not be a good thing, would it? So then, because I've got my other tree, I can put that over the other side. And then, I've not not going to put it in exactly the same place if I can help it, just so it's in a little bit more, just for a bit of interest. And actually I'm going to be, the outside edge of this will be covered up anyway, so so I might bring it in a little bit more. There we are. So that's that one. Pick that up, ink it up. Top tip. What top tip was that? Oh, about using the brush, probably. The paintbrush. I know, I'd never thought about that until I saw a YouTube video. I think it was a YouTube video with Lavinia stamps I was watching to get some inspiration, and that's what they did on there. So I thought, oh, that's a good idea, isn't it? So I can't take credit for that one, I'm afraid. Bring that over and then stamp that down. So has everyone been busy crafting last couple of days? Done anything interesting? People managing to get out now again? Out and about a little bit. Things are starting to open up again, aren't they? Slowly. Yeah, so just give that a quick wipe. Make sure the ink is off my lid as well, much as possible. And then I shall pop that over there. And then once again you can see that there's some little areas that I just need to fill in with my paintbrush. So just get a little bit of ink on my brush and then just go in, and no one would ever know there was a hole there. I tend to use a fine paintbrush because if you do have any fine areas, then at least you know you're going to be able to reach them okay. Don't need to worry too much about those. There we are. That looks rather nice, doesn't it? It looks a little mysterious at the moment because it's just bare trees. A little bit eerie. Yes, I'm not surprised that it's slower up in Scotland. I think that's a good thing. I think it's the cautious approach is better. That's what we're doing in Wales as well, a bit more. I think England's rushing a little bit to get everyone back out again. So so I'm glad that Scotland and Wales are being a bit more cautious about that. I think it's a good thing. There we are. So take that out of my stamping tool, and I just need to give that a quick blast just to make sure that that one is dry completely. Oh, Susan's watching from home while working from home. What do you do, Susan? Anything exciting? Oh, that's lovely, Judith. Judith is off to Leeds this weekend to see her 2 eldest children. Haven't seen them since I moved up here in February. God, it's a long time, isn't it? It's crazy, isn't it? Crazy, crazy. How old are your kids? Are they as young as me? To make sure my fingers are clean. I've got glitter all over me for some reason. I think it's left over from Ian's. Ian's been doing things on here. So there we are. So there's my 2 trees. That looks quite nice, doesn't it? So now I need to give them a bit of life. So I'm going to... ooh, I need another... Just grab another felt. And you can reuse these felts. They do, after a while, they do go a little stiff, but you can reuse them. And as long as you, I mean, it's like with this one with all the blues on here, if I was going to do something with blues again, I could quite happily use that again. But if I was going to do something maybe with the greens, then I wouldn't use the blue, because you might end up with some of the blue coming out in there. So yeah, so as long as you keep, I certainly wouldn't throw them away, keep them, and then you can reuse them, or maybe if you're using darker colours, then it wouldn't show up. Oh, Donna's just finished making a carousel for a little girl's birthday. Ooh, that's nice. You'll have to post it onto our Valley Crafters group so we can all see it. That'd be lovely. Oh, 21 and 19. Oh, I'm just a little bit older than that, but not too much. No comments, please, peeps. So I'm going to do some blossom, and I'm going to use Purple Twilight because I love purple. I'm going to use Flamingo, and I'm going to use Honeycomb, and I may even use a bit of citrus as well, just because. So get all these lids off quickly. Fabulous, Donna. Look forward to seeing that. Donna does 3D keepsakes. So she's done high heel shoes, and she's done vintage cars, and birthday cakes, and babies' cribs, and pushchairs, and all sorts of different things. They're fab. There we are. So once again, just going to put a few blobs onto my pad. A few blobs of each colour. Doesn't matter where you go on the pad, because it all blends in. And I'm going to try this without the blending fluid first of all, just to see how it goes, and then if I find that it's not quite blending as much as I want, then I can add some blending fluid. But it might be okay just like that. And all I'm doing is just tapping onto the surface. There's quite a lot of purple in there, isn't there? And then just twisting the tool around. That look pretty. From that to that. So I'm just twisting the tool around, and then so it just mixes it up a little bit, and you end up getting different effects. So I don't think it needs any blending solution on that. And it doesn't matter if you go outside where the branches of the tree are, because it's quite a nice effect, I think. There we are. And because the ink is already dry, it's not going to move at all. It may go a little bit paler, but it's not going to affect it too much. Doesn't that look pretty? Isn't that pretty? So you can still see the branches of the tree through the blossom, but it just makes it a nice flowery tree, nice summery tree. And obviously if you wanted to do an autumnal tree, then you could use just browns and oranges, nice autumnal colours. That'd be quite nice, wouldn't it? And actually this one that I did before, I think I probably used more oranges than that. So that was more sort of autumnal, whereas this one I've used more pinks and purples, so it looks a bit more, what's the word, you know, just looks a bit more that, doesn't it? Yeah, I like that. Very happy with that. And then the only other thing that I did as well was I actually put some of the, just to make this bottom bit a little bit more colourful, I actually used exactly the same colours, and then just very lightly just blob in the grassy area, and it just sort of gives you the idea that there's some flowers in the meadow. It just adds a bit more interest then, I think. Oh yeah, antique. Oh yeah, putting metallic gold in the autumn one would be nice as well. Yeah, because we've got the alloys, got the gold alloy. That would be nice, wouldn't it? So I've just put a little bit of that in the grass, so it's gives the idea, the impression that there's some flowers in the grass as well. It's either flowers or it could be blossoms that have dropped off of the tree. But it's nice and warm and summery and just what we need now, I think. Okie doke. Right, so I'll put my lids back on there because I've finished with my alcohol inks now. Ooh, that looks like the view from Judith's window, apparently. Ooh, that's nice. I bet you've got some lovely views up in Scotland. I do like Scotland. Have to visit sometime soon. Oh, our next door neighbour's got a cherry tree actually in their garden. They've been growing. Right, so that is that. So now what I need to do is I need to do a little bit of distressing, a little bit of stamping, and then put it into my frame, and that's it. So very straightforward. So I'm going to do a bit of a sentiment. So you could even put these little flowery bits at the bottom if you wanted to, just for some extra interest. But I'm going to, oh, so look at that, that would fit perfectly. Love you to the moon and back. But I think I'm going to use best wishes because less specific. Oh, and I don't think I've used best wishes before because it's quite sticky on my backing sheet there. So I'm just going to put best wishes in the middle of that. Get my stamping tool out again. And incidentally as well, I always work on a piece of scrap paper. This is A3, I think. A3 gloss that we just had lying around. So I just have a piece of scrap paper underneath because obviously you're going to end up getting the alcohol inks onto it. And you don't want it to get onto your table or your blending mat or anything, any type of mat that you're using. So either this or a glass cutting mat. If you've got one of those, you can use that to protect your surface as well, because it's glass. It's not gonna be a problem. So yeah, and dry straight away as well. So so you don't have to worry too much about waiting for anything to dry, because it dries, the alcohol inks do dry very quickly. So I'm going to put Best Wishes. I think it needs to go right in the middle there, doesn't it? And a nice little jaunty angle as well. I do like a nice jaunty angle, don't you? Yeah, Best Wishes. Can't go wrong with the Best Wishes, can you? So, ink that up with the same Archival Ink. Give it a gentle press, not too much, because if you push too much, that's when you tend to get halos. When the stamp tends to sort of splay out. And because these are from one of the magazines, they're made out of acrylic rather than polymer. So they're not quite as good quality, obviously. But then, you know, what do you expect? There we are, so that's that. It looks nice, doesn't it? My Best Wishes, and then I'm going to dry that, and then I'm going to do a little bit of distressing around the edge just for a bit of extra atmos, and then I'm going to stamp with my little word stamp, and I'm going to do that afterwards. The reason I'm going to do that afterwards is because on this one I stamped this word stamp around the edges first of all, and then I went around and I made sure that it was dried, and then I went around with the same ink pad to do some distressing, and it actually started to sort of smudge some of the words. I mean, it doesn't look too bad, but it did start to sort of smudge some of the wording and take it away. So I'm going to do it the other way around this time, and then that should solve that problem. So it's always a good idea to try these things, and if it doesn't work, then try it a different way. It's not the end of the world. So just give this a quick blast. Like that. It's always a good idea, and you can tell whether this ink is still wet as well, because it will be shiny on the surface, whereas it goes a bit more sort of, it's still a little bit shiny, but it goes a bit more matte, a bit more of a matte finish once you've heat dried it. Right, so what did I say I was going to do? I was going to distress first of all. So I'm going to distress. So this is one of the distressing tools. So it's more or less, it's exactly the same handles as you get with the other tools, but with these ones, instead of felt pads, you get the foam pads. So the squashy foam pads on these ones, and they are better for doing any distressing techniques. Well, so I'm just going to go around, squeaky squeaky, around the edge of this, just very carefully, because it doesn't, because it's, I think it's because it's a plasticky sort of material, it doesn't blend as well as more porous cards, so you just have to be a little bit careful that you don't put too much ink on, because I want a bit of a, just a little bit of a smoky finish around the edge. And you can hear it squeaking as well, so squeaky squeaky. So just take your time and make sure you don't put any fingerprints in the middle of your project, because there'd be nothing worse So messing it up now. Everyone's very quiet today. I wonder why. So that's just going around the edge a little bit. Some of it's going to be covered up by my frame anyway. In fact, I shall have a quick look. I've got my frame here. Just see whether you'll still be able to see that through. Yes, you can still see some of that through, can't you? Just a hint. A hint of that smoky finish. Yeah, so I think that'll do. Oh, actually, so I'm going to need. So I'm just going to give that a quick blast just to make sure, even though it's gone on quite fine, so it's probably more or less dry. But I'm just going to make doubly sure by giving that a quick blast. All sleeping after lunch, yes. All got full stomachs and they're having an afternoon kip. Because I was going to do my live at 11 o'clock in the morning. I tend to like doing them at 11 in the morning. But I did a poll on Facebook and most people said they wanted it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's what we're doing. Yes, it does, doesn't it, Judith? Draws the eye into the centre. Yeah, it does frame it nicely. Yeah, I'm glad I went with that. It's nice to do something different sometimes, isn't it, as well? And then the other thing I'm going to do is just to give it a bit more interest, because it looks a little bit, it looks quite nice like that, but I'm just going to do it because I can. I've got a bit of a random word stamp, and I don't think it's even proper words, it's just something foreign and weird, quite distressed, and I'm just going to stamp that around the edges a little bit, and I'm not going to worry too much about whether it's perfect or not, because I'm looking for more the sort of distressed finish on that. So I'm just going to give it a stamp like that, ink it up again, same ink as well, the Archival. Now I'm getting the ink all over my fingers. And there. I do like the sound of it when it goes. And a little bit in the corner. Actually, I could maybe go up the corner, couldn't I? If I go up, if I stamp that bit there, I can sort of go up a little bit. I think I slid a bit there as well. Yeah, I slid a bit there, so it went a bit smudgy. But it doesn't matter. And I'll do one on this side as well. That's why I said you need to be careful when you're stamping on this, because it can slide a little bit. And then I'm going to do some at the top as well. So ink the bottom part. Judith, you're waiting to eat after the live? What, surely not your lunch? God, I couldn't last that long. Or is that tea time for you? Oh, I need to have my lunch at lunchtime. otherwise I die. There we are. Oh, that was a bit of a dodgy one, but doesn't matter. Thank you, Helen. Yes, that's what it's all about, is just playing with the alcohol inks. Just having a bit of a play. What's the worst that can happen? And if it all goes pear-shaped and you just think, oh no, that's horrible, you haven't wasted a lot. And chances are it'll come out lovely anyway, because alcohol inks are so easy to work with. And you can do so many different techniques with them as well. You don't have to just do backgrounds like with this one. It's nice to show that you can actually use it as like the flowers and the blossoms and things like that on there. There we are. So that's just stamping around the edge, just to give a bit more atmos, make it a bit more atmospheric. Only just had breakfast, Judith. Let's give that a quick dry, just to make sure that I don't put my fingers in it and make a mess. Hello, Sandra. How are you? Are you one of Judith's friends? Yeah, so that's that all stamped and dried, and then I'm going to put it into a frame. I'm into frames at the moment. I'm into putting things in frames, because then you put it in a frame and then you can just do with it what you want. Because if you just put it just on a piece of card like that, sometimes it's just like just doesn't quite look finished. So so I tend to like using frames. So it has misshapen a little bit because I've heated it. Is that a word? Thank you, Sandra. And thank you, Judith. Yes, it is nice, isn't it? It just frames it and just gives it a bit more atmosphere. You don't have to do the stamping around the edge if you don't like that sort of thing. It's entirely up to you. So I'm going to use my trusty high-tack all-purpose glue, and I find this one works really well with sticking the UPO down. But if you've got another preference, you can use that. You can probably use the all-purpose glue or double-sided tape, anything like that. As long as it's a nice sticky one, then you should be fine. So I'm going to plonk that straight in the centre, if I can. And my press to impress is very useful for using as a bit of extra weight as well. Well, that's good to know, Kay. Have you got a stamping tool? If you've got a stamping tool, then you've got no worries at all. And even if you haven't, just give it a go. Try it, just practice on a piece of scrap paper if you don't want to do it on anything else, and then see how you get on. It's just a case of practicing, and practice does make perfect when it comes to stamping. And sometimes even if you do make a mistake, you can cover it up anyway. So thank you, Donna. Yeah, we love this glue. It's fabulous. and it never clogs as well, which I think is brilliant as well, because it's got this sort of silicone bung that goes in the top. I just put that on there, silicone or rubber or something, I don't know, and then it keeps it airtight, and the glue never gets clogged in the nozzle, because there's nothing worse than a clogged nozzle. There we are. So then these are using the Sentimentally Yours nesting dies again. So if you wanted, you can raise it up with a bit of foam tape, or you can do it flat. I think I might actually do a bit of foam tape on this one, just to give it a bit of extra depth. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? So I'm going to get my foam tape out, and then put it on the back. Just give it a little bit of extra dimension. Ah, brilliant, Kay. Yes, if you've got a stamping tool, then you can't go wrong. Use the stamping tool, and even if you miss any areas, you can restamp it. If you need to make the image look darker, then you can re-ink it and then stamp again. But it takes away all of the worry with stamping and uncertainty. And even people that are good at stamping, like Ian, he loves using his stamping tool as well. It's definitely one of the best inventions in the crafting world, I think. I think most people that do stamping have got stamping tools these days as well. There we are, so there's my foam tape on the back. And just need to peel it off. What I tend to do with either foam tape or when I'm using double-sided tape on anything, rather than peeling the whole thing off straight away, if I can get the backing off, is I tend to just peel a little bit away and then fold the backing down. So just working my way around. And then I find that it doesn't get stuck straight away, so you do have a little bit of time to maneuver it if you need to, because obviously it's not getting stuck fully straight away. So I tend to do that and then position it where I want it to go. I think that's probably just about right, and then once you're happy with where it is going, then you can give it a bit of a push. And then I just pull the rest of the backing away. And I know it's in exactly the right place then. So you can do the same with double-sided tape. If you use double-sided tape, then you can do the same technique. So that's that. And then the only other thing I've got is I've cut a nice little border like that, and then I was going to put that on the top. And this is in like a, I think this is the baby blue that we sell in the shop. I just thought that gave it a nice finish. Do we think that looks nice? I think that looks nice, doesn't it? Yeah, because I could leave it without it, but it looks nice with the border on there as well. Yeah, definitely. Put the border on. So I'll just put this on with my standard glue. Nice thin bead. Like that. Because I think Ian's got a live planned for next Thursday. Can't remember what he's doing. What are you doing, Ian? I always hold my breath when I stick things down as well. Which is why I go quiet. Yes, we do sell foam tape, Judith. We sell the, I think it's the woodware foam tape we sell in packs. And then we also do a double-sided foam tape which is in different widths, but I think it's all 1mm thickness. And this foam tape, this one is from the same company, Sticks 2. But it's a jumbo roll. I'm not sure if it's on the website, but if you're interested in any of that, I think it's just over £10 for a roll, a big roll. But it does work out much better value for money if you tend to use quite a lot of foam tape. Oh, there we are, you found the foam tape. Kay says she's going to get all of her old stamps out that I have for a few years. Oh, good, you got your mojo back. Yeah, give it a go, Kay. Have a play. Hello, Eve. How are you? Thank you for joining us. Unfortunately, you've come in at the end. But that's all right, because once it's finished, you'll be able to watch it back again. And always on our YouTube, on our videos, we always upload them to YouTube as well. So if you wanted to watch it on YouTube later, you can watch it on YouTube later as well. Thank you, Donna. Yeah, the Donna's had the foam rolls before. I've had mine 10 years. Oh, good grief, 10 years? You need to make more cards, Donna. There we are. So that's my two different takes on that technique. So that was the first one I did. Slightly bigger size, and I joined the trees together. And then this one I actually did the trees separately, and put a frame around it as well. But they look nice, don't they? And then you can just stick that onto a card blank, and you're away. That's it. You don't need to do anything else really if you don't want to. If you wanted to put some flowers or a word maybe down the side or in the corners, you can do. There's all sorts of other things you could do. Eve's been watching on her mum's phone. Does your mum know? Glad you like it, Sandra. Ah. Oh, Eve is your youngest, Judith. Ah, there we are. Oh yeah, of course. Judith Young and Eve Young. That would make sense, wouldn't it? Hey ho. There we are. So that's me done for today. Anyone got any questions before we sign off? If not, I shall finish. So as I said, we tried a different technique with using the spirit blending solution, and that's how it came out. So if there's anything you want us to try, if you haven't got any of the alcohol inks and you want us to give something a go, I may try actually using the alcohol inks on different types of material, because I know you don't get the same sort of effect. It certainly wouldn't blend like it does on the Yupo, but I might have a play with different materials and see the sort of effects that we get, just so that you can see. Glad you enjoyed, Kay. Thank you for joining us. So as I said earlier, if you can share this live with any of your friends or in any crafting groups or just on your own timeline, then that will be great, because people can watch it after it's live anyway. And you can also watch it on YouTube once I've uploaded it, which will be later on this afternoon. And there's a link at the bottom of the live which will take you to our website. So most of the products that we've used today are on the website there. If there's anything that's out of stock that you'd like us to get for you, just let us know. Thank you again for your support. I think Ian's he's planning a groovy class that will be an online paid class, so keep your eyes on Facebook, and if you sign up to our mailing list, then we'll put it on there as well. So that should be available very soon for anyone that's into groovy and parchment. And we're hoping to start doing classes in the shop again, hopefully next month. We need to put some more protective screens and things in place, and make sure that it's all safe and comfortable for everyone. But you can order on the website for contactless pickup. You can come into the shop, and we're limiting it to one household at a time, or you can order for delivery as well. If it's under £40, it's £2.99 delivery, and if it's over £40, it's free delivery. Bargain! So thank you everyone. Glad you enjoyed it. Glad you enjoyed it, Judith. Nice to meet your daughter. Thank you, Donna. Thank you for sharing as well. And we shall see you all soon. Okay, thank you. Bye.